So, just so I understand, crime in Washington, D.C. is at a record low over the last 30 years, but we need to deploy the National Guard and control the police force because of all the crime. You know that typical question that people ask as far as if you had a time machine, and people always say, I'd go back and take care of baby Hitler. Do you think in the future, 100 years from now, people are going to say baby Trump? Anyway, let's talk about this new record from rapper Silk Money. The album is called, I had to write it down, Who Waters the Wilting Giving Tree Once the Leaves Dry and the Fruits No Longer Bear? Now, that's a lot of words, and I think the title is still apt to this record. And this guy was first on my radar a few years ago with his last record, which was titled I Don't Give a Fuck About This Rap Shit. I'ma just drop until I don't feel like it anymore. And I guess he feels like it again because we have a new album. And Silk Money is a very, very interesting artist, in my opinion, because he can say some pretty thought provoking and also some, I think, uncomfortable things, at least some people would find uncomfortable. And on this record, you have more of the same as far as this being conscious hip hop while also being very aggressive and hardcore hip hop. There are some trap elements, there are some abstract elements. I feel like the best way to describe Silk Money, if you're unfamiliar, is the storytelling and nuance and observations of an open mic eagle while also having the snarling cynicism of a JPEG mafia. I don't know if this guy is as good as either of those two people, but if you were to take a lot of the best elements of them, I feel like you'd pretty much get Silk Money. Now, there are a lot of really interesting and fun production choices that I think will keep your attention, but the true, I guess, sticking point of this record, the thing that will really leave the impression on you, is the performance from Silk Money, because his style is interesting. He has a lot to say. His rapping style is relentless. He's just coming at you with bar after bar. And I feel like a lot of people will listen to this and think that this guy is just saying a bunch of words. But there is a lot of meaning. He is trying to make a lot of points. I will admit, personally, I don't agree with everything he has to say, but I do believe that everything he says does have some shred of validity. And I do think that a lot of people are just going to be left, I guess, confused and uncomfortable because no one is safe on this record. It doesn't matter your race, religion, sex, any of it, because he has an issue pretty much with all of it. I will say this though. I think he has gotten better as a lyricist because my issue with his previous album is that it really felt like someone who was just constantly yelling at me saying, This is how I feel. This is how I feel. This is how I feel. And instead, on this record, it's more like, This is how I feel. This is how I feel. And this is why I feel this way. But again, this is how I feel. This is how I feel. I do feel like there is more introspection on this record in comparison to his previous work. He still has problems with a lot of things, and there is some, I don't want to say finger pointing, but it's more like turning the mirror on you and trying to show you how hypocritical you are. And maybe he also admits that he can be a hypocrite as well, but I guess this is about a world full of hypocrites. Yeah. You know, when people think about baby Hitler, how the baby had that little mustache, do you think people in the future are going to think that baby Trump had the hair and the really bad makeup orange blend across the baby's face? Um, yeah. Anyway, this is fun. I think that this is a pretty interesting and worthwhile hip hop release. Feel free to check it out at your own risk. 8 sticks of butter. Peace, love, butter.